What is up, guys? My name is Lucas. In this one, I'm going to be talking about background emotions. If you guys enjoy this video, please make sure to subscribe because it helps my channel to grow, and I greatly appreciate that. What are background emotions? Background emotions, the way I'm talking about them in this video, are emotions that are slightly in the background. It's rather self-explanatory, but I'll go into a little bit more depth. Background emotions are typically something you aren't aware of unless you've trained yourself to become aware of them. Meditation is phenomenal for this. And right now, in your experience, I want you to notice what's going on inside of you. There's thoughts probably, and they're very dominant. They're very dominant part of your experience. They're everywhere. You're really believing in them. You're really engaged in your thought process. But what are you feeling? And you can kind of see that there's feelings on the forefront, and then there's kind of feelings in the background. Maybe the forefront is discomfort, or maybe there's a pleasurable part of your body that you're focusing on. And really, if you focus on your body, you can probably find a part of it that's pleasurable right now, and you can find a part of it that's not so pleasurable. Like maybe you're doing good here, but you could be doing a little bit better over here. And I want you to notice not so much like physical pain or something like that, but maybe any sort of thing that's happening in the background. And this is something that you have to train yourself to notice. It's a little bit hard at first. It requires you to practice it. And throughout your day, maybe if you don't really have too much in the background right now, throughout your day, I want you to notice on background emotions. This is really very subtle stuff in human experience. People walk around with background emotions of, we'll say, anxiety, which influence their thoughts and emotions at, the forefront. And how do we handle background emotions? Number one, we got to be honest with ourselves about what we're feeling. We need to be honest. I really can't stress how important that is, that if you're sad, just say, okay, like there's sadness. And just be sad. Like don't resist it. Don't tense up your body. Don't judge it. Don't say like, I shouldn't be feeling this way. I'm a man. I shouldn't be crying. Or, I'm so spiritual. I shouldn't be angry. Like remove these stupid beliefs. These are garbage beliefs. Just get rid of them. If you have beliefs that some emotions are good and some emotions are bad, you most likely have a lot of repressed emotions hanging around in your body's physical tension. Examine your body's physical tension right now. Maybe in your gut, your shoulders are raised, your jaw is clenched, whatever. Your face is kind of contracted, or whatever. And you probably just have a lot of sort of repressed emotions happening in the background, and you don't really know how to be aware of them. So you kind of push them away and you start thinking. You get really involved in your thinking. You get really involved in entertainment or some kind of other distraction. A lot of our thinking is actually just a distraction from this present moment. A lot of our thinking is very pointless and is keeping us engaged in a loop of dysfunction, a loop of anxiety, worry, depression, just a lot of random subconscious habits that have been programmed into us and are kind of just playing themselves out on repeat. Watch my video, Are You In Autopilot, and How to Quit Your Toxic Habits, for understanding our habitual nature and, understanding subconscious programming. But really, background emotions are a very, like I've said, subtle thing that we need to return to time and time again. And if this is your first time hearing about background emotions, it's confusing. But if this is your 100th time hearing about it, you are very familiar with background emotions. And honestly, how a lot of the emotions that happen in the background, the reason why they're happening in what I'm calling a background is because we're not allowing them to come to the forefront of our experience. We're repressing them, we're pushing them away, and we're not allowing them to be there. There's some sort of unconscious, subtle resistance or just judgmental mechanism towards that emotion. And what happens is not that the emotion goes away when we do this, is that it comes back another day to be even angrier and maybe even more painful, because then we build up more conditioning, more crap around these emotions, instead of understanding them and really solving them at the root, we kind of just push them away. Now, how do I handle this? How do I handle these background emotions, whether it's some background joy, for example, that we don't let ourselves experience fully? That's a very common thing. Humans, for the most part, have a sort of threshold on, the emotions that they will allow themselves to experience. And pleasurable ones and unpleasurable ones are really, it's at both extremes. You can only feel so much pleasure before it actually becomes rather overwhelming. And you can only feel so much pain before it's very overwhelming. Like if you pinch yourself right now, that's pain, but there's no like real rejection of it. It's soft, it's just like, it's nothing. You pinch yourself, this is nothing. It's like, this is actually kind of a fun experience. It's I sound absolutely maniacal, just like a maniac by pinching myself as a fun experience. But it's like, it's interesting, like the sensations and the feeling of my skin and how, like, I can feel it. Like, it's really interesting how this is happening. It's really cool that like I'm alive and like I can do this, and I'm really very, very engaged in, my body's sensations. That's why it's interesting. But, whatever's happening in the background, we're not allowing it to come to the forefront. And we have a threshold on what we will allow ourselves to experience, really. So maybe there's a lot of joy, but even in that moment, like there's something blocking us from experiencing that joy, and we're not conscious of it. Or there's frustration. Frustration's a big one. And sadness. Those are very common background emotions. It's the stuff that we really repress the most. That's often in the background. That can really, like, this is a tricky one because people can have a lot of strange beliefs about frustration and all this stuff. They think these are bad emotions, that you shouldn't feel them because they were told that when, they were very young. But there's nothing wrong with any emotion. No emotion is neither good nor bad. Emotions kind of just are what they are. The problem is how you relate to them. The problem is in your resistance to them, your physical tension around them. Notice how you contract your physical body to, not experience something that you don't want to experience, and also your beliefs about emotions. So every time that we feel something that we don't want to feel, we restrict ourselves in some way. If you don't want to feel, something in your gut, something in any part of your body, there's like a tensing around it that happens. You constrict yourself and you start repressing it. It's actually a rather physical thing. A lot of emotional repression has a very physical aspect, and that's actually really, if you just undo this tension in your body, that will release a lot of emotions that you're just holding in place, a lot of physical energy that you're just, holding in place, and it's just sort of stagnating. So right now you can notice your physical tension in your body. But background emotions, we want to just become aware of them and let them come to the forefront. Have the intention is massive, have the intention to experience the emotion, and really what you want to do is you want to rewire your nervous system to be able to handle a bit of sadness, a bit of frustration, a bit of whatever. You don't want to tense up around the emotion. If you're sad, just sit there and be sad. That's it. Just sit there and be sad. And then it'll go away. And you've released the emotion. Because right now, you're not releasing the emotion. The emotion, you're fighting it at a very sort of unconscious level. You're fighting it. And really, you just got to have the intention to let it come to the forefront of your experience. Have the intention to sort of rewire yourself to be able to handle these emotions. If you can handle a punch to the face, you can handle a little bit of sadness, okay? A lot of this emotional repression happened when we were very young, and we couldn't really handle these overwhelming experiences. So we tensed up and we really contracted, and then we built up this habit. And now people are 30, 40, 50, 60, and I bring their awareness to the fact that their body feels like a brick, and they're like, holy crap, how do I stop this? Because, their tension is habitual. The second they take their attention off it, they're tense again. And it's like there's a fear around this tension. If you really inquire into it, at the core of it, whether it's anxiety or whatever, worry about anything, it's always just some aspect of fear. All of this sort of contracting behavior There's something you're scared of that you're not willing to experience, whether it's a particular emotion. You'll think that if you feel this, you'll go off the deep end into 12 years of depression, whatever. Or that you can't experience this emotion because crying is for, little girls and not masculine men, not manly men, or whatever. And all of that's a bunch of garbage. And really, we have to, I'm going to give you the ultimate formula for dealing with emotions right here that has to be really implemented in your experience. It has to be practiced. It's not enough to just know it as a theory in your mind. That doesn't do much. It has to be practiced. It's like the difference between reading the rules of basketball versus playing the game. You have to become aware of emotions with just the intention to rewrite them. That's it. And I'm going to break it down into some more steps. So when we're aware of the emotion, it's not like we're aware of it and we're just being aware of it and we're trying to run away from it. I'm aware and I'm like very separate from the emotion. We're aware of the emotion. We're totally aware of it. We're very, very aware of it. Our concentration is like we're giving it our full attention. Not like half of it. We're like, that's it. Like we're very deep in it. And we're inhabiting that part of our body that feels the emotion. Whether it's in your gut, we're really feeling every sensation. You have to want to know the emotion, to fully experience it. And you have to have the intention to rewire your nervous system and your habits so that you can experience the emotion. Not to get rid of the emotion, but just to experience it in a functional way so that you're not basically destroying your emotional, mental, and physical health. 90% of illnesses are caused by stress. And what is stress? Look right now in your experience. There's stress if you're tensed up. It's just this fear. Worry, stress, anxiety. This is all just different kinds of fears. It boils down to just fear. So we don't want to manipulate the emotion so we can stop feeling it. We have to genuinely want to experience it. Genuinely want to know what it is. Not as a theory, not as an idea, but just like, what is this sensation? And just really feel it. Like, just ask the question, like what is this sensation? And then ignore your mind. Go fully into your body. Bring awareness fully into wherever the emotion is in your body. So, to repeat myself, have the intention to bring background emotions to the forefront of your experience. Be aware of them and inhabit that area that the emotion is in. And by inhabit, I mean send your awareness, through that area and really seek to experience it and really feel it. Feel every little nuance of it. Feel every little sensation bouncing around. And then have the intention to rewrite your nervous system, your habit of contracting, physically contracting, so that you can be open to whatever is occurring in the present moment. And by doing this, you actually enjoy your emotions. When you get very skilled at this, whether you're sad, angry, happy, every emotion becomes significantly more alive. Every emotion becomes joyful. Anger can be transformed into a sense of personal power or just internal power. Not the kind of power that makes you want to go out and dominate someone else, but just a sense of, like I'm powerful and I'm very capable. It's a very healthy emotion. Every emotion has a purpose/function, and you should really inquire into what these functions are. When you're sad, there's a sense of, depth and character that can be added to you. So really, by seeking to experience emotions fully, we actually become significantly more happier people, whether the emotion is anger, sadness, even anxiety. Just, don't go off into your head, but notice that anxiety is kind of like a restless feeling. It's like you're not really able to stay still, and there's just a restlessness and really just fear at the bottom of it. And seek to experience it fully. Let go of your physical tension. Feel all the sensations and rewrite the habit of pushing the emotion away, because that's all it is. It's just a habit. So by doing this, you take emotions that are in the background and are typically unconscious and usually somewhat repressed. You bring them to the forefront and you release them so that you're actually a more emotionally functional individual. That's it for this video. Any questions at all, leave them in the comment section below. Other than that, like and subscribe. It helps my channel to grow, and I greatly I really appreciate that. But other than all of that, have a great rest of your day.